Ladies and gentlemen, you know what's funny? People say they want to be successful, but they spend more time charging their phone than charging their brain. Every day I meet people who say, "Sir, I'm just waiting for the right opportunity." My friend, opportunities don't come to people who wait. They come to people who prepare. And preparation means one thing: skills. Your job can be taken. Your money can disappear, but your skills, they travel with you everywhere, even in your worst days. You look at successful people, they all have one thing in common. They build skills before success. Not luck, not contacts, skills. Look at Dwayne Johnson. He started with football, failed, went broke, and then used his skills, discipline, energy, and storytelling to become one of the biggest stars on earth. Or take YouTubers like Mr. Beast. He wasn't born rich. He just spent years learning how to grab attention, tell stories, and make people care. Those are skills that pay forever. So today, let's talk about the 5 skills that will make you unstoppable in life. And the first one, the foundation of everything, is communication. Now listen, communication is not about big words or a British accent. I've met people who speak English better than Siri, but they can't convince a fly to land on their idea because communication isn't language, it's impact. It's the ability to make people feel what you're saying, to make them stop, think, and say, "You're right." Let me tell you something from experience. The world doesn't reward the best thinkers. It rewards the best communicators. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you can't explain your ideas clearly, the world will never know your genius. And communication isn't just for business, it's for life. How many fights could be avoided if people just said what they actually feel? One person says, "I'm fine," when they're not. The other says, "Okay," and walks away. Then both end up angry, posting sad quotes on Instagram. That's not love. That's poor communication. When you learn to speak with honesty, everything changes. You stop being misunderstood, you attract better people, and you start to lead without forcing anyone to follow you. The most powerful people in the world are not always the richest. They're the ones who can make others believe. Martin Luther King didn't have social media. He had a voice. And that voice moved a nation. So if you want to change your life, stop worrying about how many followers you have. Focus on the one skill that makes the world follow you: communication. Now let's talk about the second skill, emotional control. My friends, this one decides whether you'll build an empire or destroy it with your own hands. Because no matter how smart you are, if you can't control your emotions will control your life. I've seen people ruin beautiful things in 10 seconds of anger. Friendships, careers, relationships, all gone because they couldn't control what came out of their mouth. It's like pressing send on a message you should have deleted. But in life, there's no unend button. You see, emotional control isn't about being cold or emotionless. It's about learning when to react and when to relax. That's what separates leaders from complainers. You know what's funny? Everyone says follow your heart, but if your heart is angry, lost, or hungry, it'll lead you straight into disaster. That's why you need your mind to drive and your heart to give direction. Let me give you an example. Will Smith, one of the biggest actors in the world, worked for 30 years to build his reputation. But in one emotional moment on stage, he slapped someone on the stage. Everything changed. 1 second of losing control can destroy decades of discipline. We all have moments like that. You come home tired, someone says one wrong word, and boom, you explode like a volcano. Then 5 minutes later, you feel stupid saying, "I didn't mean that." Of course you didn't. Your emotions did. Let me tell you this. When life gives you problems, it's not testing your strength. It's testing your stability. Anyone can be calm when things are going well, but true control is staying calm when everything is falling apart. I'll tell you what I've learned. The world belongs to people who stay calm when others panic, because panic makes you blind, but patience makes you powerful. Look at Warren Buffett, a man who became a billionaire not by chasing trends, but by staying calm when everyone else was scared. That's emotional control in business form, and in real life, it's the same. When you stop reacting to every little problem, you start saving your energy for big victories. You stop fighting with people and start focusing on your purpose. You know, in today's world, people wear their emotions like a t-shirt. Angry, post it. Sad? Post it. Jealous? Post it. They think sharing every emotion makes them real. No, it makes them drained. Sometimes peace is not in talking. Peace is in not reacting. So the next time life slaps you, don't slap back. Smile, breathe, and plan your next move. Because revenge may win the moment, but control wins the war. My friends, remember this. Your success depends not on how fast you move, but on how calm you stay when everything moves against you. Now, my friends, let's talk about the third skill that will make you unstoppable decision making. This one separates people who wish from people who win. Because most people don't fail in life because of bad decisions. They fail because they never decide at all. You see, indecision is the most expensive habit in the world. It costs you time, energy, and opportunities. And time once gone never comes back. People say, I'm waiting for the right time. Let me tell you, there is no right time. The right time was yesterday. The second best time is right now. I've met so many people with great ideas who said, I'll start soon. You meet them a year later. They're still starting soon. Their soon has become a lifestyle. Life doesn't wait for people who keep thinking. Life rewards those who make a move and learn along the way. You know what's funny? When you make a decision, people around you will say, what if you fail? And when you don't make a decision, life itself whispers, what if you never try? That second voice, that's the one that hurts forever. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who wanted to open a small cafe. He kept waiting for the economy to improve, waiting for the perfect location, waiting for the perfect partner. 10 years later, he passed by that same location, and someone else had opened the cafe he dreamed of. Same idea, same location, different person. The only difference was decision. You see, successful people are not always the smartest. They're just brave enough to decide fast and fix fast. Jeff Bezos once said, if I can make a decision with 70% information, I'll make it. If I wait for 100%, I'm too late. That's the mindset you need. Because the longer you think, the louder your fear gets. And fear loves overthinkers. It feeds on delay. Let me ask you, how many times in life have you overthought something simple? Buying something, starting something, saying something you thought for 3 weeks, and when you finally decided, you realized it wasn't even a big deal. That's how most people waste their lives. Dying slowly from too much thinking. There's a quote I love. The greatest risk in life is not taking one. And it's true, because you can recover from a bad decision, but you can't recover from no decision. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying be careless. I'm saying be courageous. Smart decisions need logic. Great decisions need guts. Every big breakthrough in history came from someone who said, let's try. The Wright brothers didn't wait for perfect weather to fly. They risked it. Now the world flies every day. When I started my first venture, I didn't know everything. I knew almost nothing. But I learned that making one brave decision teaches you more than reading 10 books about success. And remember, you can change a decision, but you can't change time. If you keep thinking instead of acting, opportunities will quietly move to someone else who had less fear and more faith. Here's the truth. You will make wrong decisions. Everyone does. But every wrong decision brings experience. And every experience brings wisdom. And that wisdom will one day make you unstoppable. So don't ask what if it doesn't work. Ask what if it does. And if it doesn't, you still win because now you know what not to do next time. That's how winners think. They don't chase perfection. They chase progress. So my friends, from today, stop living in maybe. Maybe kills dreams. Decide, act, learn, adjust, and move again. Because the road to success doesn't have traffic. It's empty. Because most people are still parked thinking. Now, my friends, the fourth skill every person must master is adaptability. Let me tell you, in today's world, if you don't adapt, you disappear. Simple as that. You can have degrees, experience, even talent, but if you refuse to change, life will change you anyway, just not in the way you like. Look around. The world is moving faster than ever before. 10 years ago, if you could type fast, that was a skill. Today, AI can type faster than all of us, and it doesn't even need coffee breaks. See, the problem is, most people want a better life, but they don't want to change their habits. They want new results, but they keep using old methods. That's like trying to stream Netflix on a radio. You'll just sit there wondering, why is nothing working? I remember a friend who said, I don't like new technology. I said, then technology will not like you back, because the world doesn't care whether you like change or not. It keeps moving. Either you move with it or you stay behind with your excuses. Let me give you a real example. Do you remember Kodak, the company that made cameras and film? They actually invented the digital camera in 1975. But you know what they said? No one will ever stop using film. They refuse to adapt. And guess what? Today, kids don't even know what a Kodak is. They think it's a filter on Instagram. That's what happens when you fall in love with your old ways. Adaptability is not about changing who you are. It's about updating your tools so your dreams can survive the future. You know, people often ask, how do I stay successful for a long time? And I tell them, don't marry your success. Marry your growth. Because what made you win yesterday can make you lose tomorrow if you stop learning. There was a time when I used to resist change too. Every time a new platform came, I'd say, this is just a trend. Until one day, that trend became the new world. Change feels uncomfortable because it demands that we let go of who we were. But the truth is, who you were got you here. Who you become will take you further. Even nature teaches us this. The strongest trees bend during the storm. The ones that refuse to bend break. So adaptability is not weakness, it's wisdom. Think about your smartphone. You update your apps all the time. But when was the last time you updated yourself? New mindset, new skills, new ways of thinking. That's your real system update. You can't compete in 2025 with a 2015 mindset. It's like showing up to a Formula One race with a donkey. You'll have passion, sure, but the world will pass you in seconds. Let me give you another example. There was a man who sold CDs in the early 2000s. He made good money, but when music went digital, he said, people will always want CDs. 10 years later, he was out of business. The funny thing, if he had simply learned how to upload songs on Spotify, he could have been earning while sleeping. That's the power of adaptability. It turns endings into new beginnings. So my friends, stop saying, I don't know how. Start saying, I'll learn how. Because in this era, learning fast is a superpower. And don't be afraid of being a beginner again. Every master was once a beginner who refused to stay the same. You see, adaptable people don't get scared when things change. They get curious. They ask, what can I learn from this? Because they know even if the world changes 100 times, they can still survive. Not because they're the smartest, but because they're the most flexible. So remember this line, in a world that changes every day, the only people who survive are those who can reinvent themselves every day. Don't resist change, write it, because change is not the enemy. It's the invitation to the next version of your life. Now, my friends, let's talk about something schools never teach you, but life will make you pay for not knowing. Financial intelligence. You see, most people work for money their whole life, but the smart ones make money work for them. And that's the difference between being busy all your life and being free one day. It's funny, right? We spend years learning how to find X in math, but no one teaches us how to find extra income in life. The truth is, financial intelligence is not about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep and how wisely you use it. I know people earning thousands who are still broke, and people earning little who are slowly becoming rich. Because one group buys things to look rich and the other buys things to get rich. Let me give you an example. There was a young man who got his first salary and said, I finally made it. The next day he bought a new phone, new shoes, and took his friends to dinner. 2 weeks later, bro, can you lend me some money? And that's how most people live. Not paycheck to paycheck, but ego to ego. Financial intelligence is about controlling your money, not letting your money control you. You have to understand something. Money doesn't solve problems, it amplifies them. If you're bad with small money, you'll be worse with big money. Because money is like a mirror. It reflects your habits, not your wishes. When I was younger, I thought being rich meant buying everything I wanted. Now I realize being rich means not needing to buy everything I see. True wealth is freedom, not flexing. Let's make this simple. Financially smart people do 3 things differently. First, they don't just earn, they learn. They study how money moves. They read about business, investing, markets, even small things like how to save, how to budget, because if you don't know where your money goes, it will always go away. Second, they separate needs from wants. You don't need a new phone every year. You need a financial plan that lets you sleep at night. Rich people buy assets, things that make them money. Poor people buy liabilities, things that take money. You know the difference between a car and an investment? One takes you places, the other takes your money to other places. Third, They think long term. Most people think in days and months. Successful people think in years and decades. They understand patience grows money faster than excitement does. Let me tell you a funny thing. Everyone wants to be rich fast. But if fast money was easy, everyone would already have it. That's why you see people chasing crypto today, real estate tomorrow, and next big thing next week. But their bank balance still looks like a flat line because wealth isn't built from chasing trends. It's built from consistency, discipline, and control. Even small habits matter. Saving 10% of your income may not sound like much, but do it for 10 years. You'll thank your younger self one day. And please remember this, the goal is not to have lots of money. The goal is to have enough money to live life your way. You don't need millions to be happy. You need financial peace, the feeling that even if you don't work tomorrow, your life won't collapse. And one more truth, don't measure wealth by what people show you. Measure it by what they can survive without showing. Because the loudest luxury often hides the deepest debt. Financial intelligence is not built in banks. It's built in mindsets. The mindset of delayed gratification, the mindset of learning before spending, and the mindset of owning your future, not renting it. So my friends, from today, don't just chase income, chase intelligence. Don't just save money, make it work for you. And don't just look rich, be free. Because the day you stop working for money and money starts working for you, that's the day you've truly made it. Now, my friends, we've talked about communication, emotional intelligence, decision-making, adaptability, and financial intelligence. But all of these skills mean nothing if you don't have the final one, execution. Because ideas are cheap, action is expensive. That's why so few people can afford it. Everyone says, I have a dream. But dreams without action are just comfortable lies you tell yourself at night. The difference between people who want success and people who create it is execution. I once met a young man who said, Sir, I've been planning my business for 3 years. I asked, So when will you start? He said, Soon. 3 years later, I met him again. Guess what? He was still planning now with better excuses. That's what most people do. They polish their plans until life rusts them. You see, the world doesn't pay you for what you intend to do. It pays you for what you actually do. Execution means starting before you're ready. It means taking the first step when your legs are shaking and learning to run while you're already on the road. Look at any great success story. It's not built on perfect conditions. It's built on messy beginnings and stubborn consistency. When Steve Jobs started Apple, he didn't have a fancy office. He had a garage. When Alibaba started, we didn't have investors. We had belief. When J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter, she didn't have support. She had rejection letters, but she kept executing. That's what turns ordinary people into extraordinary stories. Most people lose because they keep waiting for motivation. Motivation is like your phone battery, full in the morning, dead by afternoon. What you need is discipline. That's the charger that keeps you going. Execution is not about doing big things once. It's about doing small things every single day. Because success doesn't come from one big leap. It comes from thousands of small steps you refuse to skip. You want to write a book? Start with 1 page. You want to get fit? Start with 1 push-up. You want to change your life? Start with 1 decision today. And please stop saying someday. Someday is the most dangerous day on the calendar because it never comes. Let me tell you something real. When you start taking action, people will laugh. They'll doubt you. They'll tell you you're wasting your time. But remember, people always laugh before they clap. You just keep working until they change their tone. Execution also means finishing what you start. Because most people are not lazy. They're just addicted to starting. They start new things every week but finish nothing. That's why their life looks like a loading screen that never completes. Consistency beats intelligence every single time. If you do something every day, even badly, you'll be unstoppable in 1 year. So my friends, don't wait for perfect timing, create it. Don't wait for confidence. Build it by doing. And don't wait for luck. Make it irrelevant through effort. The secret is simple. While most people are talking, you'll be doing. While they're doubting, you'll be proving. And while they're sleeping, you'll be building. Because execution doesn't guarantee success. But without execution, success is impossible. So when this video ends, don't just say nice speech. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can do right now? Then do it. That one small action will change everything. Because in the end, success doesn't come to the smartest or the richest or the most talented. It comes to the one who simply executes. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe, my friends.